Hey, welcome back to Global Environment. We started talking about EROI. We saw how it applies to the diversity of life, how it applies to organisms, and then we posed the question last time, does it have anything to do with people? Well, you might guess it does, and I'm going to show you. Now, we're going to talk about hunting and gathering. And if you look at human existence, we've probably been around, 200, 300,000 years. 99% of that, we were hunters and gatherers. And there's only a few hunters and gatherers left on the planet, but when we study them, we learn some very amazing things. And we're going to talk about the Kung Bushmen from the Kalahari Desert. They're one of the few groups left that do hunting and gathering. And if you ever have seen the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy, those are the Kung Bushmen. And they're interesting because they have this clicking language. They have letters that make clicks and different sounds. They sound like beatboxes, and the name they call themselves is actually the Kung. So let's look at a map of where the Kung live in the Kalahari Desert. And this map shows several things that we need to talk about that are very important when it comes to EROI and related concept best first. Now, let's talk a little bit. So you're a Kung Bushman. You're living in the desert. What's the first thing you think about in the morning when you wake up? It's where the water is. So that's critical. That's what they're thinking about. So they have to go around their landscape and look for water holes. Some are permanent, some are temporary, seasonal ones. And so you get to this water hole, you make camp. What's the second thing you think about? It's where's breakfast? Where do you get the food? And it's pretty incredible because when people have done studies on what the Kung eat, they get 1/3 of their calories from one food source. And it's called the mangango nut. It's like some Hollywood director made it up. But the mangango nuts grow on these short shrubby trees. They fall to the ground. All the nuts are pretty much the same, and they have to gather them. So let's look at the map again because it'll start to make more sense. So what you have here are hills and places like that, and then you have these dots, these circles, these little ones. These are the permanent and seasonal water holes. And what you see is that this is where the Kung would make their camp. They start gathering nuts. Now here's the question. Which nuts do they gather first? They're all the same. They're all on the ground. So they gather the ones that are closest to them. The nuts that are closest are the best resource. And why are they the best resource? Because they take the least amount of energy to get. And you look, once they capture those, once they pick those up, then they're gone and they got to go a little further. That's the next best. And then they got to go a little further. That's the next best. And then the next best. And you can see that happens all over the landscape. Now if we chart the energy costs of doing this, it might look something like this. This is the cost of gathering nuts today. And it's over distance. So the farther you go, the more energy it costs because the more you have to walk. Then you get to a distance where it starts to jump up. This is when they have to do an overnight. Now why would it jump up so much? Think about it. If you've ever gone camping, you got to bring a lot of stuff with you. You got to set up camp. That is more energy. So that's why you see the jump there. So if we go back to the graph, then they might go a second day. Then energy goes up a little more. Now, why don't they go a second night? Why don't they do another overnight? And it has to do with the same reason why if your friend called you up from Denver and said, there's some madman here, he's selling gasoline for 10 cents a gallon, you better get up here, you wouldn't jump in your car. Here I am in Syracuse, New York. I wouldn't jump in my car and go to Denver. Why is that? Because you'd use more energy to get there than you get at the end. It's the same reason here. They don't go another night because it's not energetically worth it. They don't think in those terms, but it controls what they do. Okay, let's look at this. The Kung might use some of these. You're seeing tools, technology. Now, do tools and technology have something to do with energy return on investment? Well, let's think about it. Think of our ancestors. Maybe they're out hunting, stalking the woolly mammoths. They're sneaking up, sneaking up, sneaking up. They run up to the woolly mammoth and they punch them. Very effective? Not too effective, right? But what if you took the same amount of energy, and we look at this, and you concentrate it on the point of one of these spearheads? You get a lot more bang for the buck. your energy return on investment improves. So these things are about energy return on investment. Think about it. You got the woolly mammoth in front of you. You want to take a leg back to camp. Karate chops? Nah, not too useful. But if you take a sharp edge like this, concentrate that energy, that force, you get a lot more bang for the buck. Your energy return on investment gets better, and you are successful. All right, so what I'm going to tell you might surprise you, but think of this. All technology is about energy return on investment. Your car is about energy return on investment. Online learning is about energy return on investment. So I don't have to drive to teach each of you. You know, you can catch it using this technology. It really drives the development of human society and culture, because as time has gone on, we have used technology to improve our EROI. So here's a Gary Larson cartoon, and it says, "Ha! We got him now." And if you make out, you know, these guys over here, you know, we had a lot of challenges in our development, and technology has helped to make us successful. If we look at the next cartoon, it says, "Left behind in an energy race." And the cartoon says, "And now there go the Wilsons. Seems like everyone's evolving except us." Now, what do the Wilsons have? We talked about the spear. They also have fire. Now, think of fire as a technology. Instead of being in your cave shivering to death, you can use fire to heat things up and save your energy. Instead of eating raw meat and getting sick and using your energy fighting off germs, you heat it up, cook it up, and kill those germs. Instead of the bear coming by and eating you and taking all your energy, you say, "Get away, get away." It's about EROI. Now, we're going to start talking about farming too, because like I said, not a lot of hunters and gatherers these days. A lot of people use technology though. But how has EROI and Best First impacted farming? So I'll see you next time. We'll talk about that. Bye.